Hi, my name is David. The nice people over at QUBE asked me to show you how to make 2 American classics. So I thought I'd show you 3. We'll start off with some nice lamb chops. We'll finish off with some crayfish, and in the middle, you can't get more American than apple pie. While those are in the smoker, we have some prep work to do. Crayfish. There are a lot of names for crayfish. We need to purge them before we really do anything else. Purging them is getting them to clean out their insides so that you don't get a lot of mud in the food when you're trying to eat it. I got these crayfish yesterday, so we don't really have time to do that. And you need an aerator of some sort to keep oxygen in the water so that they don't die. We're going to be using salt water to get them to purge themselves today. Using salt water is also pretty easy. It takes maybe a half an hour to an hour to do. So all you need is a bag like this of salt and a bucket. You're going to take the salt and you're going to put about half of this bag of salt into the bucket. It doesn't have to be perfect, just about half. The crayfish will start jumping around and acting a little bit crazy. This is just because the salt is uncomfortable for them. Then you're going to just take a hose or get some water and fill it up to about 2/3 or so of the way full. So I'll go ahead and get the hose and we'll do that now. The salt that you use doesn't really matter. You don't want to use very expensive salt because you're just going to be pouring this out in a little while. You're not seasoning the crayfish with this, you're just trying to make them uncomfortable so that they'll clean out their insides. I have a long pair of tongs. Just sort of stir the water up a little bit. Again, you're not trying to hurt anything, you're just trying to get them all agitated and wanting to purge themselves. We'll leave them like this for about a half an hour or so, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less. I generally do this twice. I'll just use the second half of the bag of salt, and then we'll worry about them in just a little while. Okay, moving on. That should be just about long enough for the crayfish's first saltwater bath. So we're going to go ahead and take them out of the bucket, put them into this nice big bowl that I have, empty out the salt water, refill it, add some more salt, put them back in the bucket for a second saltwater bath. So here we go, taking them out. It's a little bit hard to see in the water, but it's nowhere near as clear as it was when we put it in there just a short while ago. So I'm going to empty this out, then we'll just refill it with some more salt water. Then our little friends back into the bucket. Let them stay like that for a little bit, and then we will do the last thing before we have to put them in the smoker. Alright, it's time for the last part in the crayfish preparation. Now my wife likes me to do a thing called bifurcation, which means to cut in half. So all we're going to do is pull out a crayfish, pop it on the cutting board, and bifurcate. It is generally a good idea to either put them in the refrigerator or in the freezer for a while, but you don't have to. It is important though to make sure that no matter how you're going to be preparing them, you do try to do it quickly and humanely. So you're going to want to put them on the board, hold on to them, take a very heavy bladed sharp knife, put it at the back of the body segment, pierce it in, and quickly roll it through the head. Turn it over and do the same thing through the tail section. Get them separated, and then I like to use a metal rack or a cooling rack and go ahead and put them on open side up. Now, because we're going to be cooking the crayfish for only a very, very short time, once we turn this up to high, you'll see that it sets itself to 260. I always wait until this number gets at least up to 200 before I put the crayfish in. Once you put them in, really 10 minutes. That's it. Otherwise, it could be a big mess. Now you can put other kind of seasonings and spices onto the crayfish, but we generally just put them in as they are and then do any kind of seasoning or spice after they're cooked. Alright, so wait till that hits 200, pop them in for 10 minutes. Alright, so the smoker is now at the 228. Wow, it's going up quick. Now a couple of things you do have to be very careful of. Everything inside the smoker right now is really, really hot. So you do have to be very careful. The other thing is if you're using a metal rack like I'm going to use, sometimes things want to slide off of it. So make sure you have a pair of tongs close by in case you have to pick up something from inside the smoker to get it into the right place. You want to do this quickly, but not like a crazy person. So open it up. Go ahead and get your rack. Again, be careful not to let too many things slide in too many directions. Get it in there. And 2, so here we go. Oh, in there. Close it. Now the temperature has already dropped down to 215. So just in those few seconds while I was putting them in, the temperature dropped quite a bit. Now again, we want to leave them in there for 10 minutes, no more. All right, so I'll see you in 10 minutes.